Okay. Hi, my name is Jon Jensen, and I'm the Western Regional Manager of Commissioning for Henderson Building Solutions. Today, we're going to talk about LEED building design and construction commissioning requirements. So the first thing to talk about is the mandatory requirement. Fundamental CX is mandatory on every LEED project. So that's just something to expect if you're moving through the LEED process. Some of those required systems to be commissioned include HVAC systems and their associated controls, domestic water heating systems, lighting controls, normal power distribution, and any applicable renewable energy system. So the idea is anything that consumes energy or provides energy to your project. Some of the optional systems would include building envelope, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into some of the optional credits. Here's a familiar graphic that describes the whole commissioning process. With LEED, we do get involved earlier on, so we'll go ahead and get right into it. So like I said, fundamental is a requirement for every LEED project. So you can see here how it compares to the IECC commissioning requirements. The first step in pre-design or conceptual design is the development of an OPR document. So this is developed by the owner with help from their consultants, basically creating the requirements of their building and setting an expectation of what they're looking for. So just laying the groundwork for the design process. From that document, the design team develops a basis of design. So this is their response to the OPR, making sure that all those owner project requirements are being met. The commissioning agent also reviews this BOD to make sure it does encompass everything that the OPR document had asked for. The next thing the commissioning agent will do is develop that commissioning plan and send it out to the design team. So the idea here is to identify the roles and responsibilities of the design team and the owner as we move through design phase commissioning. Once we get into the CD phase, we want to make sure that those commissioning specs are developed and incorporated in the documents. So that way the contractor teams understand what they'll be responsible for as we move through the LEED commissioning process. Also at this point, we want to update the OPR and BOD along with the CX plan to make sure that any changes through the design phase have been picked up. We all know a lot of things change as we move through design, but we want to make sure that those documents are up to date as we move through it. And the biggest reason is this design review. So this is an opportunity for the commissioning agent to take that OPR and BOD and now review the drawings and specifications to make sure that everything in those documents is being encompassed in those drawings and specs. The other things the commissioning agent is looking for is just making sure that systems will be able to operate together, with electrical and plumbing requirements, and also that they'll be maintainable once that's turned over to the owner. So once those documents have gone out to bid, we are now in the construction phase of the project. So we want to have a kickoff meeting with those contractors that are going to be working on the project. So the idea here again is just to set those expectations early on with all the contractors as we move through the construction phase. The next thing we do is develop pre-functional checklists. So these are documents for each piece of equipment that will be commissioned on the site to make sure that they're installed correctly, and when it comes to startup, they'll be working correctly as well. The next thing we want to do is develop functional tests. So we'll take the design documents along with submittals and equipment information to develop functional tests to make sure that all the systems are operating correctly after they've been started up and balanced and controls have done their work. So once we get into acceptance and all of that work has been done, we have equipment running, it's been scheduled properly, the controls contractors done their point to point, lighting controls have been programmed, all that fun stuff. We want to go in and now test all those systems to make sure that they are working correctly. So once we get through functional testing, we do issue issues lists, and hopefully the contractor gets out and addresses all those issues. But while we're waiting for those issues to address, we want to start to develop our commissioning final report. So this report documents everything that we've done throughout the process, and it includes an executive summary that will be uploaded to LEED online as well. And the next thing we do is make sure that all the O&M documentation has been compiled and made into an O&M plan for the operations team of the building to use as they work through the life of the building. So once we've had all those issues addressed and responded to by the contractors, we close all those out, and then we issue our commissioning final report to the team, signifying completion of our fundamental commissioning. So next we'll talk about some of the enhanced credits that are available through LEED. There are some different options and paths that we'll talk about, but the first one here is option 1, path 1, and this allows you to earn 3 points through the LEED rating system. Here's that graphic again, just showing the additional things that we'll do to accommodate option 1, path 1. So the first thing is developing a systems manual. So early in the CD phase, we can start to develop the outline of what this document is. This is just, it's a lot like an OPR where it defines what that building needs, along with some single line diagrams to help operators troubleshoot. It also includes some training and things like that. Speaking of training, we want to make sure that the training requirements are included in those construction documents. So we want to make sure everything for each piece of equipment and system is included in the specifications to make sure that the owner will understand how to operate their building once they've taken it over. So the last thing we want to do is just make sure that all of our commissioning documentation, so CX specs and plan, are updated and incorporate that option 1 and path 1 requirements. As we move into construction phase, the additional thing that we'll pick up will be a submittal review. So as commissioned systems are going through and being submitted for review by the engineer, they will also be concurrently reviewed by the commissioning agent. So the next stage, once we get into the occupancy of the building, we want to verify that that owner training has taken place. So we want to make sure that the right people are there, we're taking attendance, and the staff really understands how to operate the building. So here we also want to develop, or we want to deliver all those documents that we have developed through this option 1, path 2. We'll also want to do any seasonal or deferred testing. So obviously you test the building at one point in the year, that may be a summer, it may be a shoulder season. We want to come back in the opposite season and watch those systems perform through heating or through cooling systems as well, or season as well. The next thing I'd say is one of the biggest values that you gain by pursuing this credit. So a 10-month warranty review of your building and its systems by the commissioning agent. So this is a commissioning agent going out to your site, reviewing trends or testing systems again to make sure that they are operating properly. So with that, a commissioning agent will develop a list of issues that need to be addressed by the contractor before the end of their warranty period. So just making sure that you're getting the most out of your warranty. And the last piece of this credit will be an ongoing commissioning plan. So what we do is we develop a document and a schedule to go and basically recommission the building over a certain period of time. And based on what the owner's goals are, we can do that within a year or two. But the idea is it gives a prescripted plan for the operation and maintenance staff to go through and check sensors and check functionality of all the systems again, and continually do that through the life of the building to make sure it's working correctly. So that wraps up option 1, path 1. So the next one we're going to talk about is option 1, path 2. So one thing to note about this is you have to achieve path 1 to achieve path 2. So if you're going for path 2, you can gain 4 points, 3 of those points being option 1, path 1. So here's that graphic again, showing the additional requirements of option 1, path 2, compared to option 1, path 1. So the biggest thing that you're picking up here with option 1, path 2 is monitoring base commissioning. So this is kind of utilizing everything that is there as far as the control system or an analytics platform to make sure that systems are operating correctly through the life of the building. So here we develop a monitoring base commissioning plan that identifies those goals and some of the benchmarks that we're trying to meet, and also includes some preventative maintenance planning and things like that. So once we move into occupancy and we've gone through all of our other normal commissioning phase activities, we want to implement that monitoring based commissioning plan. So that's just taking the plan that we've developed and now moving it into the occupancy phase of the project. So reviewing those trends or those analytics on a monthly or quarterly basis, just to make sure that everything is operating correctly as that building lives through its life. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is enhanced option 2, which is building envelope commissioning. And that will allow you 2 more points on the LEED scoring system. So this graphic again just explains what option 2 looks like. So it really is the whole process that we've done for mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems, but now it is for building envelope. So you're going to do all of the same things, make sure that OPR document includes all the requirements. There'll be a design review of those systems, and then they'll want to review submittals and then go and observe mock-ups of walls and things like that out on site and make sure that walls and windows are going in correctly through construction. At acceptance phase, they'll go through and do some performance testing on the building envelope. They do this by pressurizing the building to make sure that it's to identify air leakage rate. And then they'll also do some thermal scanning of the envelope to identify any leak points that the contractor can address. And again, out into the occupancy phase as well, that includes a 10-month warranty visit for the building envelope as well. So here, again, just wrapping up all of the LEED requirements as they compare to ICC requirements here. Thank you very much for your time. Again, my name is Jon Jensen, and there's my email. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you very much for your time today.